Hi everybody, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new video. Welcome back to my channel. So, today, tonight, I am going to do this evening some more ghost stories, some more ghost train stories for you guys, some more ghost train stories for you guys. And then I'm going to show you a different example. I'm going to show you a different example um from a different from a different TV show called Haunted Travels. Um uh the uh the show is called Haunted Travels. And Haunted Travels is just like Haunted Hotels, and it's a different show. Um, 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 I'm going to read some ghost train stories for you guys. And I'll show you the example from Haunted Travels this time, okay? All right? So, um uh the the story that I'll be reading from here today is called is called the Vander Ghost Light. So, Light Mints, Vander, North Carolina is located on the ex-Atlantic coastline branch from Wilmington to Sanford. An almost entirely abandoned line that was once part of the Cape Fear-Yankton Valley Railway. Unlike Mints, Vander is still served by the railroad now. CSX, the town, which is a few miles east of Fayetteville, is located on the vestigial stub of the old Wilmington to Sanford line. A light appears on the old railroad tracks in Vander, a phantom that looks very similar to the Mints and Mako lights. In this case, however, many local residents don't have a traditional explanation for the light. Witnesses say that the glow, reportedly the size of a human head, bounces above the tracks and disappears. It can be seen from over 200 feet away. Some in the area claim that the light is the ghost of a switchman killed when shifting cars at the siding in Vander. Anyway, it turns out that a railroader or a switchman railroader was switching cars, and then suddenly it knocked him down and chopped off his head. And others claim that the light is the ghost of the driver of a mule wagon. The wagoneer residents say was decapitated in a grade crossing accident at Vander and returns from his grave to look for his head. Vander residents wonder if the light may be caused by swamp gas, static electricity, or ball lightning. Still, none of these causes seem to adequately explain a light that can appear regularly whether or not a train happens to be approaching. So anyway, in Manco, in Vander, North Carolina, it doesn't say what year this was. It might have been the 1900s or the 1800s. I don't know, but that's a guess. But it says there was a switchman and a railroader killed when shifting cars at the siding in Vander. Others claim that the light is the ghost of the driver of a mule wagon too. So anyway, it's one of those. And here's the Vander train tracks. Here's the Vander train tracks. Here's the Vander train tracks. And this is what the show has to look like, okay? This is what the show has to look like, okay? And it has to have the story going back in time, and so forth and so on, okay? So okay, now I am going to read one more story, and this one is called Johnny Marsden's Light. Like the Concord ghost light, the reappearance of Johnny Marsden's lantern is directly linked to a railroad tragedy one morning in the fall of 1907. So this takes place back in 1907. One morning in the fall, on a fall morning in 1907, a local freight was making the run between Argentina, not Argentina, but Argentina, whatever. I can't say this. Argentina. Oh, yeah, there it is. Argentina. And Brinkley, Arkansas. And Brinkley, Arkansas. Brinkley, Brinkley, Arkansas. And on the Old Rock Island line, Johnny Marsden, a brakeman working the run, was walking over to the car tops towards the head of the train. As it ran along, Marsden slipped and fell and was killed as the wheels of the loco ran over him. Several days later, the head and brakeman who had been working the run with Marsden was flagging at a place called Lawn Oak. He he had just stopped a passenger train and was talking with its crew. Suddenly, a light appeared down the train tracks, moving towards the men from the village in Care, Arkansas. Both uh, both of the trains were to meet an opposing train in Care. Where am I? Oh, man walking towards the brakeman assumed the light was a lantern held by a brakeman walking towards him. He walked towards the light, intending to meet the other brakeman halfway. When the brakery got within about a quarter mile of the lantern, however, he saw it turn off the tracks, move down the hillside, and vanish. The brakeman was frightened by the light's strange behavior. He investigated the spot where the light had disappeared, but didn't find another brakeman or a lantern. He returned to his former spot. He returned to his former spot, and another brakeman and found that all the passenger train's crew had also seen the lantern vanish. None of the men could account for the light strange disappearance. When the two trains finally met the opposing train in Care, the brakeman asked if anyone on that train had walked towards him with the lantern. It turned out no one had. The mystery of the vanishing lantern was never solved. Some of the train crews believed that the light was Johnny Marsden's ghost holding his lantern and as he tried to get to his train one more time. So his ghost was appearing. Johnny's ghost was appearing. But somehow they were not sure. They were not sure of how it got there. So the mystery of the vanishing lantern light was never solved. It was never solved. But still, Johnny's ghost appears. Johnny's ghost appears, and Johnny's ghost appears. Johnny's ghost appears here at these tracks, and Johnny's ghost appears here at these tracks here, and is still haunting the area today. So one time a couple was there. They had just got done going out to eat. A couple was there going out to eat, and then after that, they saw a light appear. And they saw a light appear. They saw a light appear down the train tracks, and they were claiming if it was Johnny Marsden's light. The couple who went out to eat, the couple of people who who had went out to eat had saw Johnny's light, and it was their first time that they had seen it, and they were thinking that it was his light, or maybe swamp gas or a ball of lightning, but obviously, you know what, it is the lantern of Johnny Marsden's ghost holding his lantern to try to get to his train again one more time. So anyway, that is the story of Johnny Marsden. Now, I am going to show you guys the episode from Haunted Travels, the different episode, and you'll see the stories going back in time, and you'll see the ghosts and the apparitions and the spirits appearing, you know, and stuff like that. And I hope you enjoy this, and it will give you the idea of what the Vander Ghost Light and Johnny Marsden's light and Ghost Train should look like on the Travel Channel, okay? So without further ado, enjoy Haunted Travels.
Cloudcroft, New Mexico is the kind of small town that immediately conjures up images of a time when the West was a bit more wild. But today, about 700 people live in Cloudcroft, where the pace is relaxed and locals greet you with a smile instead of a six-shooter.
People look out for one another, the businesses support each other, and it's just a great little community. It's a wonderful place to raise children and to vacation and relax. Relaxing is the big thing in Cloudcroft.
But it seems Cloudcroft's rough and tumble past still lingers. And there's one place in town where the past meets the present just about every night.
Welcome to the Lodge Resort and Spa in Cloudcroft, New Mexico. The Lodge is a full-service resort. A lot of people just come up here to rest and relax. We have an outdoor heated swimming pool, we have a sauna, we have an exercise room, we have a day spa that we offer massages and treatments and pedicures, manicures, things of that sort.
The Lodge also boasts an 18-hole golf course and a fine dining establishment.
Rebecca's is our fine dining restaurant, and most of our guests that lodge here, as well as people in the local area, about a 2-hour drive market, they'll drive up just to have dinner at Rebecca's.
The restaurant gets its name from a longtime resident at the Lodge, who, on special occasions, has been known to make appearances out of thin air.
I had sweaty palms, my heart was just racing, and I know that when I went to see the staff downstairs, I just had this frightened look on my face.
I froze and my knees went weak, my legs went to jello, and I couldn't move and I couldn't speak, and the tips of my fingers were just shaking.
I knew it was Rebecca. I felt her presence in this area, and I knew it was her immediately.
The legend of Rebecca dates back to 1911, when the Lodge at Cloudcroft was built. It became a destination spot for local loggers and socialites looking to escape the hot New Mexico heat. But the hotel's claim to fame was its housekeepers.
Rebecca was a housekeeper here at the lodge, and she took care of the rooms and the common areas, but she took care of a little more than that. She was what you might call a full-service housekeeper. We also understand that she had evening duties, and she took care of some of the locals and visitors in the area.
Rebecca's promiscuous ways made her very popular among guests at the lodge. But Rebecca's extracurricular activities didn't go over so well with her lumberjack boyfriend.
She really loved men, and she had a lumberjack boyfriend, and he worked out of town a lot. He wasn't here very often, and she entertained our guests, I could say. And one night, her boyfriend came back early from a logging trip.
He asked where she was. And when he found out, he flew into a fit of jealous rage. Legend says he cut off Rebecca's head and chopped up the rest of her body, burying the remains somewhere on the property of the lodge, and leaving behind a feisty red-headed spirit with no plans on leaving her favorite haunt.
I was checking a function in this dining room behind us and doing a quick count on tables and chairs. And maybe 25 seconds in the room, I stepped out of the room, and all 3 chandeliers on the mezzanine overlooking the lobby were swinging back and forth.
Making believers out of hotel staff and guests seems to be a top priority for Rebecca's ghost. Those skeptical of her existence are often her favorite targets.
I was training a new employee, and we came over here to the coffee machine. We started brewing coffee. We went over here to the computer, and I was training her on the computer. And she asked me about the ghost. I was a skeptic back then, and I shared that with her, and I said, but it's part of your job to know this. It's a bunch of bull, but you really need to share the story. At that time, now this is 15 feet away from the computer to the coffee maker. The basket with the grounds of coffee came flying at me all the way over here, hit me in the leg, hot water and hot coffee grounds exploded all over me.
Before the 2 women could even speak, the doors to the room flew open, and a great rush of energy swarmed into the room, paralyzing them both with fear.
Needless to say, that girl never came back the next day. I braved it out and came back, but it was quite terrifying.
Rebecca had made her point, and once again had made believers out of the doubtful. Staff have learned the best way to deal with Rebecca is to acknowledge her presence. But that doesn't make them any less terrified. One night, an employee needed to fix a water pipe in the hotel's basement, and she refused to go alone.
I enlisted the help of some young men who worked for me, who were in their late teens, 17, 18. And I had told them my stories of Rebecca, and they didn't really believe. In fact, they really laughed at the whole situation.
As they reached the bottom of the stairs, Marty spoke aloud to Rebecca, as she had always done.
I would say, I believe that you're here. I'm doing something to save water, I need to do this. Please, if you won't scare me, I won't bother you.
Her young helper wasn't impressed.
You could hear the young man laughing behind me. He thought it was ridiculous. So we got about halfway through the room. I was in front of him, and he was standing right off of my left shoulder. And he reached up in the pitch black, and he grabbed hold of my shoulder. And you could literally tell that he was shaking from head to foot. He was so afraid that he could hardly speak.
The young man was led out of the basement, but couldn't relay what he had seen or experienced. One thing was certain, he wasn't laughing anymore.
His face was stark white. His arms were white. He was afraid. And I told him, all you have to do is tell her that you believe that she's here, and she won't bother you. But he got a first-hand experience with the spirit of the lodge, and it made believers out of him.
Perhaps Rebecca's bones are buried in the basement, and she doesn't like for her unmarked grave to be disturbed. And one night, Rebecca's lonely soul was seeking comfort from the living.
We had a couple visiting here, overnighting with their little girl. And her name was Rebecca, and she was about 6 years old, long red hair, quite beautiful, and she was intrigued by the Rebecca story.
The little girl asked her parents to read her Rebecca's tale before heading off to bed.
Later on, about 10:30 at night, I was in the lobby, and all of a sudden, Rebecca, the little 6-year-old Rebecca, is walking, and she's holding, it looks like she's holding someone's hand. And she's in her very beautiful white flowing nightgown, and she's walking down the stairs, and I said, Rebecca, what are you doing? And she says, oh, Rebecca came to the room, got me up, and she's taking me on a stroll of the hotel.
Does Rebecca long for a child of her own? Is she tied to the site of her gruesome death? Whatever her reason for staying, just be sure to give your respects to the resident redhead at the lodge at Cloudcroft. The cost of ignoring her might not be worth the price you'll pay. Later, guests of North Carolina's Richmond Hill Inn may take home more than just memories.
There is a presence so strong in this room. I can feel it. I feel as if I'm going to, bump into them.
But next, palm trees and warm weather can't mask the terror going on inside this Florida hotel.
It was like footsteps coming, walking along in the room, and doors opening.
Hundreds of beach resorts line Florida's coast. But in the northeast corner of the state sits a beach town like no other. It's the country's oldest continuously inhabited city. It's St. Augustine, and aside from its year-round sunshine, this city is famous for its haunted history.
Think of all of the people and all of the different cultures who've lived in this city over 5 centuries.
And most of St. Augustine's ghost stories come from its bloody past. There's the oldest military fort in the country, where ghostly soldiers still stand guard. Or the Spanish military hospital, where death and disease still linger within its walls. And the old city jail museum, where violent criminals are eternally locked up. It seems like in St. Augustine, every tourist site has a ghostly tale attached. In fact, you won't even have to leave your hotel room to come face to face with its haunted past.
We just don't have run-of-the-mill ghosts. We have America's finest spirits right here in St. Augustine.
and its most famous haunts, called the luxurious Casablanca Inn, home.
And this is a special place in St. Augustine. The house is old. The bay is beautiful. Lots of people coming here all the time, and almost anybody that comes here, they're in happy spirits.
But not all the spirits here are happy ones. Legend tells us the inn wasn't always the charming getaway it is today, but a dangerous den of criminal activity. The time was the 1920s. Prohibition had just passed, and St. Augustine was a hotbed for smugglers who were bringing in rum from the Caribbean. They called themselves rum runners.
Not everybody was doing well in the 19-teens and in the 1920s, and rum running was a quick and easy way to make money.
But it wasn't so easy. Rum runners faced countless dangers, whether it was the perilously shallow reefs of the Caribbean or the deadly storms that struck the Florida coast. But the gravest danger of all came from those put in charge of enforcing prohibition laws. The infamous G-men.
Some of you will remember the days of Elliot Ness and the federal agents. They would come in town, and if anybody was caught with liquor, you know, they would be arrested.
Dedicated G-men under the direction of the notorious Elliot Ness were hot on the trail of the rum runners entering the port of St. Augustine. But the innocent-looking young widow who owned the Casablanca Inn wasn't so innocent after all.
We feel quite certain that she was conspiring against the government boys, the revenuers, who were trying to catch the rum runners who came into the bay.
It's a lady after my heart because she decided she was going to make money. Well, she made a deal with some of the rum runners. You know, you pay me, and, you know, I'll let you know when the government men are around.
She was a shrewd businesswoman and bold.
She would then have the statesmen that came into the city to look for all of these illegal events. She would have them stay here.
The innkeeper would give the G-men misleading information about the rum runners. Then, once the agents stepped out the front door, she let the rum runners in through the back. But how would the rum runners not get caught as they sailed into port? If it wasn't safe to come into town, she'd signal the rum runners to stay out at sea by waving a lantern. The men would sail by undetected and move on up the coast.
So it worked out really well. She made a fortune doing it.
The rum runners operated from the inn, selling the contraband liquor and boarding here while they were in town.
Her only downfall, she actually fell in love with one of the rum runners.
One night, after the party died down and they were left alone, they kissed goodbye, as they always did, promising to see each other once again. But the next time her lover was due in town, the G-men had arrived. As always, the innkeeper climbed the stairs to the widow's walk with her lantern.
She waved her lover off. She knew that the government men were in town, and she didn't want him to land.
She stood atop the inn, and though the wind was howling off the water, she waved her lantern, warning her lover of the danger. Only another danger lurked in the darkness of the sea.
Unfortunately, of course, in those days, there was no way of predicting a hurricane.
The story goes, as I've heard it, that there's a horrible storm. He was supposed to come, and she was up there waiting. He never showed up.
The innkeeper waited faithfully for her lover's return. While their romance was brief, their love was strong, and she couldn't bear the thought of never seeing him again. After months of waiting, reality set in. He was lost at sea in the storm, and she never recovered from the heartache. Today, guests at the Casablanca Inn enjoy sherry on the porch without fear of being hunted by the G-men.
They get a beautiful 2-course gourmet breakfast each morning. Our guests can help themselves to drinks in the kitchen, homemade chocolate chip cookies every single day. There's always cream sherry out.
The historic Casablanca Inn enjoys the reputation of being one of St. Augustine's premier properties. But spend the night, and you'll see the past is never far behind.
We checked into our room, and there was stuff about ghost tours and ghost this and ghost that. Just in my mind, I just kind of laughed. I think it's kind of a big joke. It's pretty funny. And then the TV went on.
But neither the man nor his wife had turned it on.
And then she went over towards the TV and she says, well, if you're a good ghost, turn the TV off. And the TV went off. And then I'd say like maybe 30, 40 seconds later, TV went back on.
Whether the spirit is a good ghost or bad ghost is yet to be decided.
Michael, who is our innkeeper at nighttime, was sitting in this room one night. All of a sudden, he thought he heard somebody upstairs.
The commotion startled the innkeeper, as there was no guest staying in the room above.
So he sat there and he listened, and he heard it again. It was like footsteps walking along in the room. And doors opening.
The innkeeper quickly grabbed the room keys, ran up the stairwell, and approached the doorway.
He opened the doors and he searched the room completely, and there was nobody there. Nobody.
Though he found no trace of a disturbance, he felt a presence, like someone was in the room with him.
And he got so spooked, he said he was wide awake all night that night. He got really scared.
But perhaps the eeriest proof that the former innkeeper and her rum runners continue their clandestine relationship from beyond is experienced not by the guests of the hotel, but by passers-by late at night.
And people in the next inn, the Casa de la Paz, have woken up thinking it was the lighthouse. And they were like, oh, how quaint, how beautiful. Look up, and it was coming from across at the Casablanca.
The phenomenon has even shown up in photographs taken by unsuspecting vacationers.
Someone took a picture one time, and there was nothing there, and the light came out in the picture.
Is the lady with the lantern still guiding the shadowy vessels of Prohibition's underworld away from danger? Or is she still hoping to be reunited with her love, forever doomed to a watery grave?
Little things that happen, and then it makes you wonder, is there somebody here who's still attached to the house somehow?
Stay the night at the Casablanca Inn, and you won't be the only one who doesn't want to leave. Coming up, visitors and staff at this Chicago hotel.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. I know that was a long one. So I'm gonna stop right there, and so you see how the stories went back in time, and you see how the stories went back in time to the 1920s and the 1900s and stuff like that, and back to 1911. Well, when the Ghost Train documentary is made on the Travel Channel, when the documentary of Ghost Train is made on the Travel Channel, if you guys can ever get it on there, if you guys can ever get it on there, that is what Johnny Marsden's light has to go, has to do, okay? One morning in the fall of 1907, Johnny Marsden's light, between Argentina, not Argentina, but Argentina, and Brinkley, Arkansas, okay, and the Vanderghost light, and the Vanderghost light, and the Vanderghost light, from Wilmington to Sanford, North Carolina, that is what the Vanderghost light has to do, okay? And that's what Johnny Marsden's light has to do too, okay? Okay? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these stories, I'll be back tomorrow for some more ghost train stories for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories here. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell. And I will see you guys tomorrow for some more ghost train stories and haunted travels and haunted ghost hunting and haunted places and spooky stuff, okay? Okay, bye everybody. Bye.